Roots of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. If you are new here, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. It's always so great to have new people tuning in. Make sure that you follow us on all social media platforms, on Twitter and Instagram at the Root of the Science Pod, or join the Facebook group at the Root of the Science podcast. Also, most importantly, make sure that you get notified for new episodes by clicking the follow button on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever else you listen to your podcast. If you want to leave a review, please do. You can drop a review in the comments on social media, or you can send an email, or you can review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much. To all the people who are returning, the fans, thank you. Always love getting your feedback. And also a reminder that you can support this show for me to bring you more episodes by clicking on the support the show link in the show notes, and you can do so through PayPal. Let's get into today's episode. My guest today is Tsumbedzo Ramalevha. He is a PhD student in doing plant functional ecology. In this episode, we get into discussing about his PhD, where his project is on the response of below ground bud bank traits to different fire and herbivory treatments, as well as soil productivity gradients in the African savanna. If you tune in, we're going to get into all about this and the importance of his work. Further, we also talk about his academic journey, the root of the science, who is Tsembedzo away from the science, and we also touch on him moving into a new lab for his PhD and that new environment. Also touching on some parts about mental health. Tune in as we hear about all of this and of course so much more. Let's go. Hi Tsembedzo, welcome to the show.
Oh, hi Anne. Thank you for having me.
It is such a great pleasure to have you with me today. I'm really excited for myself to get to know you, and also, of course, the audience. So first things first, please may you just give us a brief introduction. Who is Tsumbedzo? Where are you currently based and where you're from? And just briefly, what are you doing?
Okay. Tsembedzo is just a young man from rural Venda. So I'm a last born of, I think seven kids. So I'm the last born.
Okay.
And I'm also the first one to do degrees or to go to universities. So currently I'm at Poch. I'm doing my PhD in plant functional ecology, which is just the study of how functional traits affect plants, and also how they ensure that plants are responding to the environment.
Oh, okay, cool. No, thanks for that brief introduction, Tsembedzo.
Yes.
You mentioned that you are obviously doing your PhD and you are the first one to go to university. That is such a huge achievement. So congratulations on that. That is wow. That is wow. So, but before you are more than just a PhD student. You're more than just the lab. You're more than just, working on your research. So when you are not sciencing, right? When you're not sciencing, when your mind is not full of journal articles, reviews, papers, all of that stuff, what do you do? How do you relax?
I like playing snooker. Don't know if you know snooker or a pool. Yeah, so
okay.
I can say I'm quite good in snooker. So whenever I'm not doing any science-related or reading or writing, I just try to play some few games with the guys. I just hang out, talk life, talk nothing science-related, soccer, wrestling, cars and stuff. So I do that quite a lot. And I also try to write like just books, because I've been playing around with the idea of writing a book. So whenever I'm not doing science, I just maybe add a paragraph. But yeah, it's been about, I think, 5 years now. So yeah, I do that.
Okay, that's so interesting. I'm going to pull this book string that you've just started. What type of books are you wanting to write? Is it a fiction, nonfiction? What is it in the genre? I'm sure you can. I don't know if you can tell me more about it, but like, what is the genre? I always find that part very interesting.
Yeah. So the book is basically about my journey from maybe high school all the way to doing a PhD. So like I said, I'm the first one to go to university and get a degree, and now I'm doing PhD. But then I'm also a last born. So the idea is just to show the kids after me how the journey was, and what were my challenges and lessons. And also hopefully they will use that as a guide to say, if you come from this particular background, it is possible, but then you will meet challenges. So this is how you can navigate this life or the postgrad. So yeah, the book is just about me and trying to encourage my nieces and nephews on how to hang in there. And hopefully one day they will also read the book and be something in life.
Yeah, no, for sure. Oh man, that's amazing. So it's like an autobiography of you and your whole life. Yes. Oh, that's so exciting. And I love what you said, that it's like as a guide, because like you said, for you, it was obviously the first time trying to navigate everything for yourself. You didn't have, that guide. So it's quite beautiful that you aspire to do this, like you said, for your nieces and your cousins, and I'm sure all the many other people, when you do publish this book, and who you can also motivate, which is so beautiful. Well, congratulations in advance. I cannot wait to get my copy. I'm saying this publicly or internationally. It's done.
I'll send you.
Please, I'm going to wait for my autograph copy. Don't worry, I'm going to definitely support, but I'm booking, like pre-order before, pre-order. Yeah, yes. I'm pre-ordering the book before it comes. Tsembedzo, while we are on this whole story of your journey, right? I think it's then really apt for us to then start from the beginning, right? You said that you are the last born, the first one to go into university and pursue your degree. So how did that happen for you? Like what was the root of the science? Did you always know that this is something that you want to do? So how did your story begin? If we can just get a glimpse of what's to come in the book, if you can just share with that.
Okay, so I don't really have an answer of the root of my science. But then what happened was that growing up in rural areas, we don't really have role models, people who can point and say, that guy is an ecologist, that one is an engineer. So I just wanted to finish high school and make something of my life. But then when I was doing grade 11, my biology teacher told me that I'm quite good in biology. So maybe I should consider a field or a career in biology or something related. But then still, I had no idea what a biologist does or somebody who studied biology does. So I wanted to become an environmental biotechnologist because for some reason I loved the title or the sound of the name, environmental biotechnologist. But then that didn't happen. So, but also when growing up, my mom is quite good in medicinal plants. So whenever she goes to the field to collect, I'll just go with her, asking questions. What is this? Why are you collecting it like this? What do you use it for? And then, that was just me being a kid, being curious. So after failing to get a space to do the environmental biotechnology, my uncle said, how about I do botany and microbiology?
Okay.
So the reason is that there was somebody who was born in my village who was a lecturer, but he left the village years ago. So I got in touch with the lecturer, and then he introduced me to botany, biology, microbiology. So yeah, that's how I ended up doing microbiology, because I couldn't get space for environmental biotechnology. And then as time goes by, as I start learning about plants, their uses, their importance, then that love of plants that I had while growing up came back. And then I started asking my mom about, do you know this plant? Do you know this one? So some of them she wouldn't know them, and some she would know them. So as time goes by, I think with my mom around teaching me how to grind this plant, how to collect it, this one you don't grind, you boil. So I started loving the botany or the biology side of it. And also I'm not really into office work. So the field work part is where I really enjoy field work, although like doing field work in Limpopo can be quite hectic because the temperature can reach 40.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up doing the botany, because I couldn't get into what I wanted to do. But I think for some reason this was my calling, because my father was also into the environmental part, but I only found out late that he was what we call now environmental monitor, where you will go around.
Wow.
Yeah, where you will go around checking people who are cutting live trees and those that are doing illegal hunting. So I think for some reason I'm my parents' dreams or something.
Oh man, that's so beautiful. That gave me goosebumps. It's kind of like you came full circle in terms of, you are right where you needed to be. You thought you were meant to be somewhere else, but then actually you are exactly where you needed to be. And that's so beautiful. And it's amazing. And also what you said about how when you grow up in a village, you don't have, you said like you didn't have anybody who was like a scientist for you to be like, this is something that I can do. But also I think it's quite interesting that the person who you are trying to become with your book in terms of writing this guide, the lecturer from that university was sort of that person for you, where you could have a reference point of where somebody you could actually contact to be like, okay, you've done this, how can I do this? So, and also your mom, like how, I'm sure when you were younger, you didn't even realize how it would all come back to you years later. And then you guys could share this beautiful bond of, the love for plants for plants rather, the medicinal aspect, which is quite beautiful. Okay, so you said you did biology and microbiology. You did that for undergraduate level? Botany, sorry.
Yes, for undergrad I did, botany and microbiology at undergrad. And then at honors, I did plant ecophysiology. Okay.
And then that's what you've taken up with you until your current level of study.
No, not really. So I did plant ecophysiology at honors. Then I did plant invasion at masters. Now I'm doing plant functional ecology.
There's so many different terms, and like to people who are like, what is he talking about? I do plant sciences, but on the crop science, I cannot even. Plant physiology, I know what that is. So, I want you to quickly, just if you can, briefly explain the differences, because I think to somebody who's listening to this is like, surely this is all plants. So what was the difference with the three, like the three different, so the one at honors was plant physiology. Ecophysiology. So what is that briefly? What do you do there?
So Plant ecophysiology is basically plant ecology and plant physiology. So you study how the physiology of the plant affects its ecology or its performance. Like, for example, when you cut a tree, some tree will resprout or form root suckers. That's the it's driven by physiology. Yeah.
Yes.
So in masters, I did plant invasion biology. So it's like invasive plants, studying how they affect the native plants. And then in PhD, I'm doing functional ecology. So this is just a study of functional traits and how they influence how plants respond to disturbance or the environment.
Okay, that's so interesting. No, thank you so much for clearing that up, because I'm sure to somebody who has never had anything to do with plants, it could all sound the same thing. And I think it's quite interesting. And it just goes to show the diversity of this one field, and in inverted commas, this one field of study. Okay, so while we are on your PhD, like you said, you are doing your PhD in plant functional ecology, and the project is on the response of below ground bud bank traits to different fire and herbivory treatments, as well as soil productivity gradients in an African savanna. Okay, so can you please tell us more about this project, what it involves, and just the importance of it?
Okay, so the study is looking at the bud banks. So bud banks are, before maybe I can tell you what bud banks are, let me just say, plants utilize two mechanisms to maybe respond to disturbance or injury. They either resprout from surviving tissues, meristematic tissues, which are the buds, or seeds germinate and establish or recruit new seedlings. So in most of our savanna ecosystems in Africa, fire and herbivory are the drivers of these biomes or ecosystems. So it's very crucial to understand how our plants respond to these drivers or disturbances, fire and herbivory. And then in most of these areas, since fire or herbivory is like a recurring thing, it doesn't stop. So it's not easy for plants to rely on seedling establishment. Because, for example, a seed can germinate and then there's fire, that seed is dead. So plants rely mostly on the buds or the surviving tissues to recover or resprout after being defoliated or being eaten by elephant or after fire. So in most of our studies that looked at the effects of fire on savanna plants, we have enough data on what happens above ground when you burn an area or when you allow livestock or wild animals to graze on that area. But we have little to no idea in terms of what influences what we see above ground. Why is plant A responding quickly than plant B?
Sure.
So if we don't know that, we'll keep on allowing livestock to graze, only to find that plant B will die out because it can't cope with this continuous grazing or continuous burning. So it's crucial for us to know how this grazing or herbivory and fire is affecting the regeneration capabilities of these plants, so that we know how frequent should we burn, for how long should we allow animals to graze in this particular area. So, like, for example, in places like Kruger National Park,
Yeah.
If we just allow like plants to be grazed or for fire to just burn, we might lose some plants which are crucial maybe to the diet of herbivores or animals. And then that can have an effect on the populations of these herbivores and will lead to maybe us not really going there because we are losing elephants, for example. So we need to know how animals and plants interact so that we can be able to develop management strategies that will enable us, or that will make sure that we sustain these plants, because we can't just allow them to be grazed or to be burnt. So I think in short, that's just the main maybe answer to the question. We just want to know what happens below ground when we burn, and how does that influence what we see above ground.
That's so interesting, Tsembedzo. I have two follow-up questions. The first one is, you said African savannas, and I was actually going to ask you where. So you mentioned Kruger National Park. Where are the other sites that you are conducting these experiments at?
No, like the experiment is conducted only at Kruger.
Oh, it's only at Kruger. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but then the African savanna was just to generalize that in most African savannas, fire and herbivory are the main drivers of plant composition and structure.
Okay, cool. And just to clarify, herbivory is when you mention that the animals graze and they eat the grass. That's the herbivory aspect of it, right?
No, herbivory is just animals.
Oh, just animals.
Herbivory is from the word herbivores.
Okay, so it's when they eat the grass, and because we're comparing fire and how animals are affecting you said the below ground.
Okay, so fire is regarded as a driver, and then herbivory is herbivores, like animals. So fire and animals.
Oh yeah, no, that's
regarded as
yeah, that's what I was trying for you to say, because I'm sure for somebody else, they don't know what herbivory is. I just wanted to clarify that part. So you mean fire and animals. That's basically what you're saying. Okay, great. The next question actually that I had was that, let's say, for example, in a farm, right, where let's say they grow, they have cows and whatnot to graze. I also learned that they also burn the fields, right? So do you think the results that you would get from what's happening in the Kruger in terms of the below ground aspect of it could also be applied in a farm setting? Because, like we said, that they do burn the field so that it can grow better, and there's also animals that also eat the grass, or the herbivory aspect of it. So could one say that if the data that you get, could that also inform potentially something like that, where not necessarily only in the savannah?
Yeah, I think it can, because let's say, for example, in a farm where they are farming livestock, they will maybe have an area where they allow the animals to graze. So
yes,
what you can do, you can also study how that grazing or browsing herbivory is affecting maybe dominant plant species. Like, for example, if you have got 10 palatable grasses, and you find that when you allow the animals to graze this area maybe for 3-4 months, that depletes the dominant plant species. Then you will be able to say, okay, instead of allowing the plants to be grazed for so long, let's only do 3-4 weeks and rotate the animals in such a way that it will give the plants a chance to regrow. So we can study how plants in that particular farm is responding or are responding to grazing. And then how can we make sure that we maintain the plant composition, but we also don't starve the animals. So we have to do rotational grazing to ensure that plants are able to recover, but at the same time, animals are not starved. So studying how the bud banks respond to grazing can also be applied to such or in such farms.
Quite interesting. No, you have a very interesting research project, and we're excited to hear about how your results, the different types of results that come with that. So I wish you all of the best, because that is honestly so exciting, right? So as we continue about your PhD, when people who are doing their postgrad, sometimes they move to different universities, right? From the one which they did their undergrad to go and do one in a new place. So they go to a new lab or a new group, if we call it that, right? And there's also sometimes the adjustment, be it of different cultures, be it different supervisors or PIs, etc. So you mentioned that this is something that you also had to experience, where you moved for your PhD, you moved to a new lab. So I wanted to ask you, how was this transition for you when you moved to a new place, and how did you sort of like navigate, be it the cultural aspect or just the whole new environment, if you don't mind sharing about that?
No, it's okay. So I did my undergrad up to master's at the University of Venda in Limpopo. So we just a group of Venda speaking, Tsonga speaking mostly. So it was quite okay. But then now for my PhD, I had to travel all the way from Venda to Potchefstroom. And I was away from family, friends. So now I had to find friends or adjust to the new culture. And I found it very difficult to maybe make new friends, because it's not easy to make friends. And then since I don't really have that much support in terms of your studies, like how are tests going, like you don't really have somebody who you can talk academy with. So it's mainly just the general question, are you okay? But once you start explaining your difficulties or your challenges and how maybe the masters is showing you flames, people don't really get you. So I for some time it was just me and my studies. And then luckily when I was still at Univen, I had friends whom like we were both studying, so I could talk to them and stuff like that. But once I arrived at Poch, I realized that I really need to maybe talk to someone, not just general, but just talk to someone about what I'm going through and maybe what kind of help or assistance I would like to get. So to answer your question, I started talking, like actively talking about how I was feeling. For some time, it was just, no, it's okay. Now everything will be okay. But then I started actively talking about my feelings, what I think was going on, and how I would like to be assisted. And in that way, I was able to maybe get some stuff off my chest, just express myself openly. Because I think it's one thing that we also struggle with, especially if you come from maybe an area where you are not really encouraged to talk. We just take everything as they are and think, okay, it's okay. I will make it. But the next time goes by, you realize that actually it's getting too much. And if I don't really start talking about it, it will really affect my life. So I just started talking to whoever was willing to listen to my frustrations of the research and how I would like to be assisted. And as time goes by, I was able to get back to the game and focus more on my studies. And yeah, I would say talking about it really helped, because for some time it was quite difficult to really maybe get something done. You'll just get to the lab and spend the whole day just going through one article. And I think as time goes by, I realized that I really have to talk.
Yes.
Even though maybe people won't really respond, but if they are willing to listen, I'll just talk.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you being so open and honest about that. Like, especially how you said that you initially came from an environment where you didn't quite know, or you weren't really encouraged to speak about if you are struggling. So it's pretty hard to open up. And I was actually also having a conversation with a friend just about how, I don't know, like postgrad is a different animal. It's a different beast. And it's different because it's such a silent, like you are so alone. Because I was saying that at least like with honors or undergrad, right, we're all suffering together. We all know we have that one test that, oh no, it's really bad and it affected everyone. But because we all do different projects, we all go through different struggles, it's very hard to communicate, your own internal struggles to someone, because you are looking at them and they're like, but they're going, why am I struggling? But not forgetting that we are doing different projects, even if we are under one lab, but it's a solo project that only you are doing. And it's it's one of those moments where you do struggle and you can suffer in silence until you open up, until you eventually say, listen, I need some help. I don't know. And you can have days where you just keep on going to the office or to the lab or to the field, and you are not doing anything productive. So I really appreciate the fact that you said that you opened up, and I'm glad that it eventually, helped you and you allowed to then move forward with your academics. Yeah. So Tsembedzo, as we are sort of going closer to the end of this interview and just you just sharing your story with us, I wanted to ask, what is that one piece of advice, if any, that you would have, given everything sort of that you've gone through, being the first generation, traveling around, changing universities, going through these different degrees, to somebody who's listening and is inspired by your journey, be it in science or just life as in general?
I think just be a few advices.
Sure, please go ahead.
Like, you should work hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should work hard, because one thing that I've realized that if you really put your head down and work, people are watching. Someone will notice you that, okay, this guy deserves, or this lady deserves an opportunity. So just, if you are given an opportunity, give it your all. And then even if maybe you don't really get anything, maybe something tangible or something that you can really point to at the end, but you do have that experience. So do it for yourself. And then when you go maybe to do your postgrad, try to have that support structure. Try to build that group of friends whom you can talk about life, but also just go out and have fun. Because the science field can be quite lonely. And if you don't really have anyone or a group of people to really just talk to, it can really consume you. So work hard and also love what you do. doesn't really help for you to really pursue science if you don't really love it. So if you want to do botany, you should love plants and also enjoy the outdoors, because you really do quite a lot of field work if you are into ecology. So be okay with doing a floristic survey in Limpopo when it's maybe 42 degrees. So it's part of your job. But yeah, just give it your all. Try to build that support structure, and also, work hard, love what you do.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for that wonderful piece of advice. And like you said, there's things you really have to love what you do because, there are moments where the just doing it for doing it, you need that love to sort of push you through, because it does get really, really hard. And so thank you so much for sharing your journey with me and sharing your story. I had such a great time, and I wish you all of the best.
Thank you for reaching out, and I hope you will maybe interview one of the guys who read my book in years to come.
Yes, I was actually going to say, you know what, you're going to come back here when that book is out, right? And we're going to have a chat about your journey when you are a doctor, with that red gown and with the book. And then we're going to then meet again not maybe meet again, maybe within years later, when somebody's going to be like, yes, I read Dr. Tsembedzo's book and this is why I'm here. So we are starting something here. I feel it. I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it. Yeah. And to everybody else who's tuning in, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl and with an E. Until next time, goodbye.